Let's get ready to rumble. All right, Mike. It's just so good to see you again. It's been such a long time. You coached me during the pandemic on a lot of things, and it was very, very valuable. So I thank you for taking the time to speak about this because this is really passionate. Anytime I hear about you in social media, you're speaking about this. And for those who may not know you, please give an idea of of who you are, Mike.
Yeah, it's been a while, and the next bull market is upon us, I believe, and now we're connecting again, right? So it kind of makes sense. And obviously, we're both very busy with other things that we have going on. I am, I'm a real estate investor. I'm a stock investor for many, many, many years, and then I got into cryptocurrencies in about 2017 onwards, pretty early. Um, there's people that got in earlier, but I got in
Yeah,
pretty early.
yeah,
And during the pandemic, everything went online, everything went Zoom video. I never did any of this before 2020. And during that time, I've studied investing and economics and cryptos, and I brought that all together because I saw what was coming in the pandemic in terms of investment markets, and I wanted to share that knowledge with other people. That's how we connected. And then, as we know, the stock market and the crypto market went bananas in
yeah.
2021. And now we're back again full circle.
Yeah, I think there's always opportunity. So what's your story like? Just to give people perspective your background, and I know you do like you got an Italian background, you love tomatoes and the sauces you make. I've seen a few of those, but tell me like more details. I mean, seriously, on the crypto and on the investing that you've done. So like how did you get started?
Yeah, so I mean, I come from simple roots. I didn't grow up in a wealthy family or anything like that, and I wasn't even influenced to do stocks or, I mean, cryptos. Forget about it, right? Like a low risk environment I came up from. But what happened was everyone's got that one friend or cousin or whatever that they do real estate, they
Yeah.
build homes, they have a stock portfolio for a long time. And I started to nurture those avenues and get outside of my comfort zone.
Hmm.
And once I did that, I was the guy in grade 11 trying to take grade 12 or 13 math. I just always liked statistics,
Oh, really?
probability. I always loved that stuff.
What about
And
what about like patterns, like graph?
Oh,
You're
that was my favorite. I love pat. I didn't like chemistry.
yeah.
I didn't like biology really, but when it came to anything statistical, pattern, probability based, I took finite statistics in high school. I loved it, and then in university,
Neat.
I took statistics through to the advanced level by choice. I just actually liked it. It piqued my
Yeah,
curiosity.
yeah. It comes naturally to you. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, some people are good at every sport. You could pick up a baseball bat or a hockey stick, and they're just good at every
Yeah.
sport. Everyone's got, musically or whatever it is, they've got something that pulls to them, and it might not pull to you.
We all have our gifts, and it's a question of flourishing those gifts. And for you, it was statistics, graphs, probabilities. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so what did you do? Like, what did you get involved first, or before
So
starting to help people? Sure.
step one is finding a mentor of some sorts. I mean, like I had relatives and people in my network. I mean, when I was a student, I would ask my landlord questions, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
renting from them, and we were doing the math. And then I'm talking to my cousin, I'm talking to this guy who's very experienced at it. And that was enough for me to realize that, hey, smart people or people that have been
The internet is down.
well. And so what I did was, you can't go bug that one or two people every day to talk to them. So you self-educate. And I've got the Warren Buffett book behind me. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then after university, you're kind of going between jobs trying to find your career. And I was working at a place packing books into boxes. It was a part-time job I took on.
Yep.
And one day I picked up a book on my lunch break, and it was Street Smart Guide to Timing the Stock Market. And I was like, wow, this is like way different than the Warren Buffett book or anything general like that. And it got heavy into charts and patterns and breakout signals and presidential cycles, all this stuff. And I was obsessed with it. I actually read it for free on all my breaks. And then I bought it from them. I said, can I buy the book?
That's
Um,
funny.
so that was my first step in, and then layer upon layer upon layer of additional education. That was 2006.
Ooh, yeah.
So over the past 18 years, I've done a lot of self-education. Like I'm talking, I'm sure 10 or 20,000 hours,
Oh,
like a
and it
lot.
pays. I mean, for anyone, considering coaching, it pays in the long run. Just that guidance, the education, someone who's done it before, and it speeds up the process. I mean, it may take 5 years to learn on your own, but you're working with a coach, and it's like 6 months potentially. I remember working with you. It was we made a lot of money that one day. Remember that thing you're talking about?
Live.
You remember
Yeah.
that? I remember that one. Yeah, that was like, let's get on, let's go on.
It's probably
And it
Tesla.
just
It's probably
Tesla
Tesla.
just skyrocketed. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Now you help now after all those years of coaching and experience, now you help coach others as well about this. So what
Yeah,
kind of
so
typical person reaches out or that you help with coaching?
I uh, people that reach out, I mean, it's kind of similar to real estate. I was a property manager. I still do some property management for the past like 18 years. Um, I often get realtors that know me very well, and they'll send me a client who's fairly new and they don't know everything about property management. Maybe they have a property or two or whatever,
Yeah.
and they know the basics. And the benefit of hooking up with a really great investment-minded realtor or property manager is you can give me what you think your game plan is, and I'll say, well, have you thought about this? Would you like to
Mm,
change that? Maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do that. And sometimes I'll flat out tell them you have to do it this way.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's your house, but here's my experience, here's my reasoning, and I want to try to skip you the frustration that you might be running into. Um, you can apply the same thing. Like you said something earlier. I taught myself to play guitar and piano. I just love when I get obsessed with something, I learn it. And then I remember my roommate was trying to learn guitar and he couldn't get the what was it, the A chord. And I said, well, no, you just do it like this, move that finger there. And that took me months to figure out, but I
Mm,
just showed it to him. I said, I want you
yeah.
to learn guitar faster. Um, that's what I try to do, whether it's property management, stock market, cryptos, especially. Like right now, cryptos is like the internet in 1996, trying to explain it to your grandfather and they don't know how to use it. And cryptos is like that now.
Yeah.
And stock market, stock options is not familiar to some people too. So I think it's people that understand the logic and the reasoning for doing these things and they want to do it, okay? And but they don't know how and it's intimidating, their life's busy,
Mm,
how the heck are you going to figure it all out? And I hope to kind of smooth that over and give you the lessons I've learned over many, many, many years and frustrations and losing money in the 2008 crash and all
mm,
that
yeah.
stuff. And I want to give you my 18 years of information in a much more condensed amount of time where I've refined it down
Yes.
and
Is there a
give my
step
perspective.
like do you work with the student and go, okay, this is where you're at, where you want to learn, or do you find out exactly where their goals are, or is there's like a step-by-step package, or you go, okay, we're going to teach this, do this, try this out. How do you work about it?
Huge group, though, usually maybe 5 people, 10 people. And
Yep.
for the training course, you have to be really motivated to like want to learn charts, want to learn strategy. It's heavy, heavy duty. And but I simplify it and explain it in an easy to understand way. Some people will be beginners, some people will be kind of intermediate and they want to sharpen up to a higher level.
Mm,
And the way I teach it, I go from the start to the beginning as if you were a beginner, basically. And sometimes there's beginner stuff that I have a perspective on. You could do some really intricate things with simple stuff. And
mm,
sometimes people put that to the sidelines. I already know that. I already know that. But there's just another way of looking at it, similar to how you renovate your student rental properties. The simplest things like laying flooring or how much to renovate or how little to renovate might seem simple, but there's an actual strategy to it. And
Mhm.
so, basically, I go from what does a chart look like? Here are the presidential cycles. Here's the history of the stock market. And I really put together a full scale view of understanding how and why it moves and where are the most opportunistic times to take advantage and where are the times like in 2022 when I told people stay the heck away from this.
Yeah.
And that's really what my focus is.
And at the very end, like what do they obtain at the very end after 6 weeks or 6 months? What do they attain? What's their gain at the very end potentially?
I think it comes down to being confident, and confidence comes from understanding. And
Yes.
if you don't understand something, how could you ever be confident in it? Like if you just think cryptos are risky and they swing around a lot and who knows where they're going to go, well, then you're probably not going to invest or you're going to invest very little because you're not even confident in it. I thought that way in 2017, but now I know the cycles and even with stock markets and other things. And I don't know. I remember back in 2008, 9, Niagara College in the Niagara region here in Canada, they put a big billboard like the size of a house up, and it said, "We're putting 40 million bucks. This is what the campus is going to look like." I told all my customers, I said, "Buy that house across the street. Buy that house across the street." They were 150 grand. Who
Oh,
knows
wow.
how many hundreds and hundreds of thousands they're worth now? Probably
Yeah.
600,000. And to me, it was obvious. And to them, they didn't have confidence in that because they didn't correlate
Mm,
$40 million brand new campus where it was old. Now you have more students, more money, more business, and you need more rental properties. Every student wants to live across the street from the school.
of
It was
course.
super obvious to me,
Yeah.
probably to you, because you're
Yeah.
a pretty savvy real estate investor. But I bet you and me both know people that would be like, I don't know, they're
Yeah,
gonna
there
wreck
there
the
is. Well, they,
like,
they just don't know. They don't know what they don't know, and they
yeah,
don't have our perspective on things. And if you're in it every single day, you see a good opportunity when you know a good opportunity is.
yeah.
It's so clear.
And there's a terminology out there, low hanging fruit,
Yeah.
and like an easy target. When Michael Jordan would go up against certain players, unless it was the second best player in the league, he's gonna dominate them and just slam dunk it right in their face because he's confident and he just knows it's gonna work and
Yeah.
he'll pick his spots. I'm trying to teach people to recognize opportunities like that. And when me and you got into Tesla and you said it started skyrocketing, they just announced that they were getting listed onto the S&P and people
Yeah.
were like, I don't know, and I said, I'm telling you, this is going to
Yeah.
go a lot higher. And it did,
It
right?
did. It was amazing day. It was like probably the most I've ever made in one day.
Well, like I said, it's just like, again, if you've never had children, you might never know what the baby wants. But if you've had children or run a daycare center, especially, you're going to be able to figure out what they want when they're crying or this or that or the other. And it's pattern recognition. And the more times you do something in a successful manner, the more it becomes a habit and something that you carry forward forever.
And that's basically sums up our life. We're into habits and patterns and routines that come up, and we know what to expect, of course. You touched upon something. You've mentioned it a couple times, and I think this is poignant for the times now. There's a cycle. We are in a cycle right now, and this cycle seems to be in a slump, but there's something coming up very, very shortly, just in November. And I think are you alluding to that idea? Like, give me some good content on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my
November's
crypto
coming
gear
up.
going here.
November's coming up, and what does that mean?
So, that book I read in 2006 that I told you about while I was working a part-time job, I
Yep.
remember reading a chapter on the US presidential cycle, and I'm like, I'm Canadian. I don't even care about politics really at all in any country, really. And I just, I was a young kid. I didn't realize that the US dollar runs the world, and the US president is like the Michael Jordan of politics. They're
Yep.
the number one person in charge. And I didn't realize that the stock market kind of followed those cycles and reacted harshly to those elections. And then I became a Bitcoin investor from 2017 onwards. And then, I did a lot of research. I've done thousands of hours of research on cryptos alone. And then someone explains to me, several economists and people I trust, that that presidential cycle ties into the crypto cycle. And I said, "Oh, really? I already understand that
The
cycle. I
crypto or
just
just
need
the
to."
whole stock market? Like stock market and elections, presidential elections goes hand in hand, it seems.
Exactly. And then cryptos does too.
Okay.
And I already knew that stocks now work that way. I said, "Oh, wow, cryptos too? Well, I already understand this cycle. Let's just add cryptos into it." Other people look at cryptos like you're just gambling in a casino and it's going to go down tomorrow.
Yeah.
And um, I thought of it that way in 2017 until I realized the cycles. And last time in 2020, when we were in the Bitcoin bull cycle, I just started teaching for the first time, and I had students like yourself and Chris and Brian and
Yeah.
all these people. I think you're good friends with a couple of those guys,
Yes, I
and
do. Yes.
um, they weren't into cryptos or they had very little in there. And once I explained how the charts work and how the cycles work, and my confidence in explaining it to them in a short amount of time, they then had the light bulb moment where their eyes got big and they realized what was going on. They were buying cryptos when Bitcoin was like 8 or 10 grand.
Mm.
It went to 68 grand. Ethereum was 600 bucks, 1,100 bucks. It went to $3,000, 4,000. I like that they did that. I didn't tell them to do it. I just share the information. You make your own decisions,
Of course. Yeah.
right? But then I got messages from folks like that, a year later saying, "Oh my goodness, like I ended up making such a tremendous amount of money. I just sold it. I'm not trying to time the top. I followed
Mm.
the plan." And now they're vacationing more or they can retire sooner. That's my goal with this, is to try to add those tools to someone's tool belt.
For sure, because having more money in the bank, I mean, it means nothing if you're not utilizing it and enjoying life with it and having more options or more freedom with it, of course. Um, now, just to go back to the election part, because this I find this fascinating. So, what the cycle is in October, it dips, I guess, and then come election time, then it just kind of skyrockets. It's like a new door opens, and then there's more possibilities. So is that what happens? Is how do you help people understand what is going on at the moment and what we're getting into?
Sure. So I like to use analogies and quotes as much as I can when it fits. I've got a book behind me called The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and he was an ancient, I believe, Chinese general, leader of the samurais and the armies and stuff back then. And one of his quotes is, "Every battle is won before it is ever fought."
Oh,
So
yes,
if
yes.
you are someone that just thinks cryptos are dumb and crazy or stocks are dumb and crazy and you don't understand the cycles, then you just obviously won't be partaking much in the profits that happen in the cycle. But if you are someone that's educated and you do have those tools in your tool belt, then you're going to be part of that cycle because you've already figured out the basic or even complex strategies involved. And every battle is won before it's ever fought. If you can't fight, you're
Mm.
not going to win the war.
Hmm.
Um, I think that that's the most important part, is to be educated on it. And it's not just for promotion of myself and what I'm offering people. I had to educate myself too over the course of years, and that helps you get to the finish line. But um, with me right now, with this presidential cycle coming up and everything like that, history doesn't always repeat, but it often rhymes. So,
Mm.
I did a training course, Renee. I did a training course in April and another one in May in
Yeah.
Mexico. And I told people back then, I said, I go in August, July, August, you should probably take some profits if you're that type of a person to time the market. And then at some point in September, October, when things are cheaper, we can buy them back. That happened. That
Yeah.
already happened now.
Okay.
Okay. And now I've been promoting October. It's actually called Uptober because for cryptos, in the back half of October, after we already dropped, right? People don't know who the president's going to be. In the back half of October, people start buying that dip because they're going to have the answer to that question soon, and they want to take advantage of the lower pricing.
Does it
We are
matter who gets
there.
elected, or it's just someone new with
Well,
possibilities?
I look at it like this. we had the last crypto cycle with Donald Trump losing and getting out of office, and Biden and Harris getting into office. And we had that tremendous run
Yep.
with Kamala and Biden, not Trump. So, Trump is very pro crypto compared to them right now. But if Kamala were to win, I would argue we're in the same situation as 2020. That's the way I look at it. But if Trump wins, it's like in Rocky Four when they put the needle into Ivan Drago's shoulder, you get a little extra pump.
Okay.
And I
What's
think
your
that we
prediction?
will.
Can you give a prediction? What do you think is going to
Oh,
happen?
geez. People don't like hearing this stuff.
I know, but it's all part of the fun. I mean, it's like we're going to hold it
Yeah.
against you, you know?
So I'm not a fan of either candidate. Like I wish there was someone more responsible that could be. I wish Elon Musk or I don't know, someone I
Yeah,
trust more
of course. And we're
was.
Canadians. We see it differently, completely differently.
Yeah, like I wish there was someone that was more polite on camera, so to
Yeah,
speak, than Trump.
yeah,
But then I also like the way he understands finance and cryptos. Like I don't like everything about either candidate. Okay.
yeah.
But let's put that aside now. Okay. Um, I think Trump's gonna win.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
my
I've heard that the same thing. I barely follow this, but from what I gathered, it seems as if the Simpsons already predicted this years ago.
Well, it's tricky. There's a guy that has made predictions about who's going to win the U.S. election since Ronald Reagan onwards every 4 years. He's a university professor, and he's gotten them all correct, I believe,
Really?
maybe all except one or
Yeah.
all of them correct. He even predicted the 2016 Trump victory, the 2020 Trump loss. He's predicting the Democrats will win, but I'm zoomed in more to the media and what's going on and everything. I think Trump's probably going to win. And if he does, oh man, I think we're going to see the most powerful crypto rally we've ever seen.
Really?
That's the way I'm looking at it because he's publicly said that he wants to put a pro crypto person in charge of the SEC. The SEC and Gary Gensler have been the ones holding cryptos back
Really?
in recent years. So he wants to put in someone that understands and is okay with cryptos, basically. Okay.
So what are we like a year or two away from a cashless society? Like it seems as if that's the case, I mean, it's even going to be
I mean, I think the world's going digital and without cat. I mean, we're going to AI robots, AI
yeah.
cars. I mean, everything's gonna look like a movie somewhat in the future. Like I remember watching Demolition Man. They had cars that picked you up without drivers and looked like a Tesla. And it's some of these things are gonna come to reality. Cashless society. I mean, when I pay cash, the person I give the cash to at the Tim Hortons or something kind of looks at me funny because everyone just taps their card, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we're already almost probably 90 something percent cashless,
Yeah.
right? So we're heading in that direction, but I just think cryptos are the infrastructure for what can be done with them later. The internet was the infrastructure for us being on this call right now. Okay. And back then, people didn't think they were going to do interviews from a camera. You were just trying to look up your email and look up some video of a sports
I
highlight
remember
or
someone
some.
talking about YouTube. They're like, oh, YouTube, it doesn't work. It takes so
Yeah.
long to load up. It's never going to work. And people didn't see the possibilities, but a few people did, of course. But yeah,
Well,
YouTube.
people used to use YouTube to look up funny cat videos and now
True.
it's like you have all your podcasts and your news sites and everyone posting there,
Yeah. Who has cable?
right?
Like the idea of cable or TV, usually everything's on YouTube. Yeah.
I know.
So so we got your predictions and that's awesome. I would definitely agree with what you were saying. And so give us an idea of for those who may not know about Bitcoin. Like when you say crypto, you're talking just Bitcoin or what do you,
So, I like to compare it, like let's say you know nothing about stocks. You're probably if you're gonna buy any stocks, you'll buy an index because you can't do the research to figure out what you
yep.
should buy, right?
Okay.
It's analysis paralysis. Or you'll just say, I'm going to buy Microsoft. I'm going to buy Apple because it's like so obvious that those are top brands.
Yep.
Um, but maybe you're not going to buy Nvidia because you don't know much about computer chips but that they're a
Hmm.
great company too. Um, And I feel like with cryptos, if I were to say to people, name me off five cryptos, someone who's not really like into cryptos, if it's just like some average Joe, they're not going to be able to name five cryptos. And they can definitely name five stocks because you just, you know, your car has a brand name on it. With
Yes.
cryptos aren't part of their lives, right? So
Yeah. Yet. Yet.
why yet?
Yet.
But we've all heard the name Microsoft and McDonald's and
Sure.
Starbucks a million
Yeah.
times, so we know that they have stocks. Okay. With cryptos, um, I don't want to scare people away from the subject by saying this, but it's kind of like internet stocks in the 1990s. You had
Okay.
a bunch of internet stocks, most of them failed years later,
Yeah.
right? With the dot-com crash of 1999, 2000. But out of that survived your Googles, your
Yeah.
Amazon, your eBays, your big giants of those industries. And maybe pets.com failed, but the other ones survived. So a lot of these cryptos are going to be that pets.com, that beanie baby, that whatever you want to call it, where they're going to probably go up in value tremendously over the course of years,
Mm-hmm.
but they probably
There's
won't
a wave.
survive the next
Like,
decade.
there's going to be one or two that's going to just dominate.
Yeah.
And from the looks of it, Bitcoin is the number one.
Bitcoin is it's the number one best chance to survive, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously anything can happen in the world. You could have the US president get in, maybe Kamala bans cryptos. I don't know, right? We'll have to wait and react if that happens. But if that doesn't happen, BlackRock is in on Bitcoin. BlackRock
Yeah.
is like I use this analogy a lot. They're the Michael Jordan of investing. They're the best of all time. They're the biggest hedge fund on earth and they convinced the SEC to let them have an ETF. An ETF means I can now put my money into the regular stock market bank account I have and buy Bitcoin through this BlackRock company rather than send my money to some weird website that I'm not even familiar with and I
Yep.
don't trust. I can just buy it in the same place I buy my Apple shares. Okay.
Okay.
And that's huge because I remember going to the bank and trying to send $10,000 to this Bitcoin company in 2017.
Oh, they
They,
freak
they,
out.
they called out all the managers. They called the head office. They said, if your money gets lost, you're not
Yeah.
covered, right? Most people
To this
wouldn't.
day, you get that as well.
You
I've heard the stories like this.
I had someone tell me this week that happened. And so, like, if you're sitting there and you're not even confident in cryptos and you're scared of them, and the bank says don't do it,
Yeah.
basically, you probably won't. But if you just already have money in your stock account and you click a button and you buy a Bitcoin related company called BlackRock, a lot of people would trust that.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. Now,
what if I was just going to say, what if Google Pay and Apple Pay let you do it eventually? A lot of people will trust
I think so.
that
I think
too.
that it's the way of the future for sure. It's still in infancy. Now, how much should people have in crypto or in Bitcoin? Like, I'm going to say just say Bitcoin because that's really the big one. So what is it? Is it 10%, 15? Like how much should they have? Because I mean, I don't believe anyone should just jump in all.
Right.
It's got pros and cons to it.
So this is the best way I could explain it.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like with real estate. Like me and you would say, well, let's put most of our money into real estate, probably, right? Because we
of
know it,
course.
we trust it, we're experienced at it,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. And so, but when I first started real estate, I was being really careful and gun shy. And so it depends on the person. I've got a good percentage of my money into cryptos and stocks because, and like, real estate, crypto, stocks, it's all the same vehicle to me. And, but if someone's newer to it, you might not sleep at night, or if you're married, your partner might get mad at you if you
Yeah.
overinvest. You might have kids' futures to worry about. You have to figure out your own situation. You can always approach an accountant or someone like that. But if
Well, then
let's
there's
say this,
also that's why there's you as well. You can advise people on their personal situation as well. I'm quite sure.
yeah, like I can't tell someone what to do
Yeah.
exactly, right? Because I'm not a financial planner or anything like that. But I'll tell people, hey, if I was in this situation, here's what I would do.
Yep.
Or, hey, here's a guy named Ray Dalio, one of the best economists of all time. Here's what
Mm.
he does,
Yep.
right? And typically, if you're someone that's not that interested in this, but someone convinces you it might be a good idea, someone like a Ray Dalio probably puts in 2, 3% of his money. Same with
Mm.
gold and silver. He puts a couple percent or a few percent in there. And if it goes up a lot, you'll be very happy. If it goes down a lot, it's only 2 or 3% of your money. And
Mm.
for someone that hates stress and isn't, gonna really deal with it and it might stress them or their partner out, don't overinvest is the way I would handle that.
Yeah.
Um, for someone like me or someone that's educated by me or themselves or others or a combination of those things, I mean, you could put in as much as you want. Just kind of like I know people that own 100 student rental properties, and some people are afraid to own one student rental property.
That's a
So
good point. That's a very good point.
it depends on the person, and you'd have to make that. I know some people that are extremely risk tolerant. I know some people that if they see the front porch light on their student rental on, they go crazy. And I'm just like, okay, well,
That's not gonna work.
you're not a very good student rental property manager. Like, let's
So,
put a time.
so this is very interesting because I agree with what you're saying. You need confidence to make a gesture or to make a move. And to have that confidence, you need to understand the whole perspective on it, what works, what doesn't work, certain strategies, certain patterns as well is very important. So, and you're showing this to people. Like you're on the weekend, you said um, you're showing graphs on exactly what's going on in the market.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is this. In 2020, I knew what was coming. I understood the economics of the situation, and I wanted to share it with people who are
Yep.
kind of more of a deer in the headlights, and they're not really confident or
It's a scary
experienced at
time.
that.
Yeah, a scary time.
Yeah. And it was time sensitive too, because it might take you years and years and frustration to try to learn it, if you learn it.
Yeah.
And the rally was happening in 2020, 2021, right? So I wanted to give people the snapshot and the important details. And when you understand the subject at a higher level, you can explain it in a simple to understand way for other people. And I'm
And
able
now
to
is an
do that.
opportunity. Like it seems as if now is an opportunity to get in
Yeah.
because of the
Honestly,
election coming up.
the cycle is at the same point it was when I was teaching people in September, October of 2020. Now we're in October of 2024, the next election, 4 years later. It's the same thing. And some people say, that you make it sound too simple. Not really. I mean, there's things I could say like that about student rentals you're not aware of. They'll sound simple,
Yeah.
but if you're not focused on them, then you're not going to do them, not with confidence. So right now, what I'm doing is this. I'm doing my next training course. I did the last one in April. In April, part of it was, the post-election rallies coming. Let's buy in the month or two leading up to the election. Now that's come past. I think Bitcoin's going to go up every week right now. And um, I want to be able to prepare people for what's coming in the next year, year and a half for cryptos
Yep.
and stocks, or what I think is coming.
Yep.
And I warned people I went towards cash in early 2022 for a specific reason with the rate hikes. A lot of
Mm,
people didn't believe a crash was coming.
yeah.
People believe the crash is coming when it's crashing. Okay. And people
Yeah.
believe that the market is in a bull run when it's rallying a lot
Yeah.
already. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's called FOMO, fear of missing out. I want to teach people what's coming from my perspective prior to that.
So they can benefit
And
from it for sure.
so you can benefit from it. So what I'm doing is I'm doing my next training course in November, the 24th, 23rd weekend there. It's going to be a crash course, 14, 15 hours with 5 follow-up sessions. I'm going to give you all of my information on how I view strategy for investing, how I draw my stock charts and my analysis, pattern recognition. And even if you don't get as good as me at doing it, if you follow my group, you'll get a lot more out of my charts, a lot more out of my posts because you'll understand where I'm coming from
Yes.
and how I do it. And then the other thing I'm adding in, starting this weekend, I'm going to do 2 free training sessions on Sunday, 9 to 10 p.m., 1 hour, and it's going to be a crypto boot camp. And
I like that.
I think that's way more important for me to do a focus session on than stocks that have been around our whole lives. Cryptos is a new subject you don't understand, probably. And if you do understand a little, then you're going to get a lot of out of what I'm going
A
to
lot of
teach as
value.
well, more value. And all of the hours of content I consume, all the years since 2017 in cryptos and in general with investing, I have a very specific formula, a very specific game plan I'm going to teach, and I'm going to do a weekly thing. The next two are just free. Anyone listening, just come
So
check
it's
them
just
out.
1 hour, like 1 hour on Sunday, and now another hour on next weekend as well.
I record it live. You can participate live, but I'll post it after the fact to watch it whenever you want. I'm probably going to do a Monday morning quarterback video of analyzing charts and
Yeah.
live when the market's open, going through stuff. And I'm going to do additional content as well that I'll just throw in there. You know, how do you open a wallet for cryptos? Where do you buy them? How do you buy them in the stock market? All these different basic things that you might not be aware of, along with higher level stuff of me saying, this is the price range I think this crypto is going to go to, and this is how long it might take, and going higher level. I'm really going to try to give a full scale view of cryptos in a very summarized way. And I'm going to stick with you every week for the next year or two or whatever and guide everyone through the whole process.
So it's a community.
Building a community and building, if you trust me and you like me and
Yeah,
the things I'm showing you are working, you're naturally going to want to stick with me like people
of
did
course.
in
And
the last
support
cycle.
is so essential. I remember a buddy of mine, he climbed Mount Everest just to the base camp. And he said the number one thing was support, having a group of individuals along with you for the ups and downs or the challenges to guide you along the way. It's so, so important. So the group is,
I'll tell you
uh,
one other thing too. Like I've followed a number of so-called experts, so to
yeah.
speak, online for the past 20 years. I've refined it down to a group of 10 or 20 that I follow now that I trust and that they have a track record with me.
And
I've consumed
you're sharing those individuals. Like you're gonna tell us exactly which ones you follow, which ones you like.
Well, the even more important than that is like I don't watch sports. I watch this stuff, okay, every week.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
That's
don't
what
know
I
what's going on
watch.
with sports either.
Okay. I don't even know. So like I'm absorbing hours upon hours upon hours of this content every week. And I'm going to be summarizing it and including that in what I do so that you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But
Hmm.
obviously you could take in multiple sources if you have the time for it. Um, and with the weekly thing, it's only $150 a month. The course is more expensive. And that's if you want to learn how to draw charts,
Yeah,
learn exactly my strategies. And,
that's
but the
so
weekly,
reasonable. That is very reasonable. $150 a month. That's a
yeah,
bargain.
it's not that, I mean, I have people I coached last year that might have paid me X amount of dollars, but they made six-figure
Yeah.
returns,
Well, when you
with their
coached me, I
cryptos.
mean, I forget how much it was. The return was was so much, like, especially that one day. It was just
Yeah.
like live. It was much more exciting. I don't even remember. It was pennies. Like the value that you provided was a fraction of the cost of it. So I think that one has to keep those in mind.
I mean, I want to say this too. I'm not here to try to say that like you're automatically going to be successful. You're not going to automatically
Of
be
course,
successful
of
at
course, of
anything, but
course.
I'm going to try to warn you of the pitfalls,
Yeah.
warn you of the moments to have more extreme confidence, for me, in my opinion, which is coming up right now after the election. And I'm going to try to guide you and hold you in line, so to speak. And I told people when I sold my crypto publicly in 2022, I sold my Bitcoin around 56,000. I didn't catch the exact top of 68,000, but I was getting in under 10,000. So we won.
Good,
And
good. That's
that's the
exciting.
goal here. We're not, they say pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. You don't want to be too greedy. You don't want to try to eat
Yeah.
the whole pie. Okay.
I
But
remember that one. I remember that saying. So this is good.
yeah,
So these two coming Sundays, you said 9 to 2, 9 to 10,
9 to 10 p.m. Eastern
9 to 10.
time. And then if you can't make it live, I'll post it in my, if you go to Facebook, I have an Invest Like Mike group. Look me
Yeah,
up, Invest Like Mike on Facebook, join for free. I post all the time. And these two sessions, I'll post the recordings there to watch whenever you want. And then if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, join up for November 1st onwards. And I'm going to take you from the election onwards, and it'll be
next bull run.
$150 a month,
The next bull run.
the next bull run. And I don't know. I'm really excited to share it with people because I know how excited and happy they were to learn from me in the last
Yeah.
cycle and they didn't know who to turn to, and I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Mike, to take the time for it. I think this is great. You show a lot of value, and it's a whole different perspective on the real estate side of things. And I think we need more people like you. So, and you help out so well. So, thank you for taking the time, and we will see each other again for sure.
Yeah, and I'll just mention one other thing, guys.
Yeah,
If you
sure,
want to check
sure.
out more info on that stuff, go to investlikemike.com.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Where
And
can people find you? Yes, yes, for sure. Where
yeah,
can people
so
find
on
you?
Facebook, the free group is Invest Like Mike.
Yeah,
And then go to my website, investlikemike.com, click on the services tab, gives you a full breakdown of the weekly training session and the course.
sounds good. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Sue, and I'll see you on Sunday morning then.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Take care.